Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Katie Gideon, and I'm dialing in from Edinburgh, Scotland. I will be the on camera facilitator for this social, and I want to give a huge shout out to my amazing co hosts. We got stuck chatting like we always do. Malika, who is in the chat, she is joining us from California. There she is. And we are so excited to host these. We actually scheduled a kind of fun little just girl catch up earlier this week. So I feel like I had already seen her, and it was just really fun, good for the soul. Really enjoyed it. But that also means I love seeing all of our returning socialers in the chat. You guys are amazing. And I do enjoy the like monthly setups as well as the weekly setups. So that's usually that magical time of year across that weekend where you're either working on a monthly setup or a weekly setup, but I get to spend more time with all of you guys, and that makes me really happy. Um, but let us know in the chat if you change your chat to everyone. The Sonder fam in the chat will be able to read what you have. If you have it set to the default, which is host and panelists, that'll just come to Malika and myself, but we can certainly answer questions that way. But let us know in the chat if this is your first social, or if this is your first monthly social, or if you're like brand new to Silicon Sonder, or if you took a break and came back. But I am seeing some like kind of double event days, which is great. But we're just so glad that you're here. And I would certainly say if you are new, um, don't worry, we're glad you're here. It can get a little overwhelming because we're going to be working on our journal. There's going to be examples on the slides. There's going to be music. There's going to be me talking. You're going to want to kind of get in the chat. So sometimes you just kind of have to work and see what you want to do, what you want to participate in. But there is no right or wrong way to do this. No one is grading your progress when it comes to what you're getting done in your journal. We are just glad that you have come exactly as you are. And hopefully you can get some inspiration, or at least you have set aside an hour and 15 minutes to work on yourself and whatever self-care journey you're on. But with that being said, if you don't have your journal yet, don't worry. Sticky notes and sticky pads are great resources there, and you can do that. But we're excited that you're here. And we will definitely get started. But as always, please be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Please respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. We do tend to have some product questions. Usually it's around stickers. But we do ask to kind of limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. But you can always join us in the Silk and Sonder app to have more of those discussions. And then as always, while Malika and I have some information, we do not have it all, and we do not have all of the individual stuff as well. So we will most likely direct your inquiries to customer care, which is hello@silkensonder.com. And then also, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if September was a rough go, let's leave it in the past. Let's put it in the rearview mirror and make the pivot towards our new month, which is October. But if you had, maybe you had a great September. Maybe you really hit a really nice stride as we head into fall and the burr months. So maybe you just want to continue with that. It doesn't matter how it is. We're just glad that you're here, and we are glad that you're going to set aside this time to work on what you want to do. So a lot of times I always recommend, if you get a little lost, or if you get a little can't quite come up with something, that's okay. Take a deep breath and maybe ask yourself, what do you need? And sometimes that is filling out the prompts. Sometimes it's doing exactly as written. Sometimes it's throwing a big sticker over it and saying not today, or even just different sections as we go. But now we are moving into a new month, and I love alliterations. So the fact that October has a theme that also starts with an O makes me really happy. But on top of that, I love opportunity. This was actually one of my words of the year for 2023. So super excited that it has emerged in that capacity. So I love opportunity. I love all that it inspires. I love how much kind of weight it can carry, but at the same time, how It can just be adaptable and flexible, which always makes me smile. But I came across this quote, which was, if somebody offers you an amazing opportunity, but you are not sure you can do it, say yes, then learn how to do it later. This is absolutely my mantra to life. I feel like I hate to say no, to the point I don't even say no. I say, let me think about it, or let me get back to you, so that I don't have to say no yet. But I have also been in really fortunate positions that I can always say yes and panic in my head, or panic and run away, or shut the door behind me and say, how do we figure this out? But I do enjoy that entire thought process of it, because I feel like I have been in situations that if I didn't say yes, even if I had no idea what I was doing, I either learned something, good or bad. I potentially probably made a mistake and learned from it as well. So I do continue to see that as an ever evolving lesson to be learned. But I also recommend taking a look at the letter at the beginning of the journal from Meha. These always have really, really good little kind of nuggets of information. And so definitely recommend reading it, and certainly kind of taking it apart to see how maybe some of these ideas can help you support your journey with opportunity. The couple points that I found really that kind of resonated with me was that opportunity can arise from challenges and wins alike. So that comes to me with like the adaptability and flexibility of opportunity, because it could be one of those things that you worked really hard, you cultivated for, you were prepared for it, you were ready for it. And then there are other times it's the door slams in your face, but the window stays open, or another door opens kind of concept. So the fact that an opportunity can come from something positive and negative, I think speaks volumes to it. But I also think that's something to always have in the back of your mind or in your tool belt, so that you can have that ready to go, so that you can be flexible and adaptable, especially when you're dealing with either self-care or kind of those type of journeys that you're on. The other one I liked was that it's driven by other emotions. I do love when our themes go hand in hand with other things, especially when it can be either a decision point or a driving factor, something that's going to turn it into an actionable item. But where I feel like I get a little tripped up with opportunity is the, are you running from something for this opportunity, or are you running to that opportunity because of a thing? And so I think that again has the dual kind of narrative there of why are you wanting this opportunity? Is it because you're running from something, or are you running to something? And I feel like then that opens up the whole other kind of can of worms of, how did we get here? So I love the interesting component for that. And then as always, the opportunity doesn't have to be big. I do love the big opportunities. Hence, that's why I am where I am now, because I said yes to an opportunity back in 2023, and relocated then as well. But I feel like it's also one of those things, as I was telling Malika earlier, that when we do the rosebud thorn reflections, my buds had kind of been a little bit of throwaways. So the fact that Meha acknowledges it as maybe these are kind of the emerging opportunities, maybe we need to give buds a little bit more stage time this particular month, just because those are really where some of those opportunities can live. So I think I'm going to treat them a little less as a throwaway and turn them into, kind of a little bit more of the main character in that. So I would love to certainly hear about your thoughts and opinions on opportunity. Is it something that you really like, or really it's just the fact that you like it because it's a new theme? But really, we're going to move into that with the opening activity, our September reflections, October intentions, and then those mood and habit trackers. So in kind of establishing our relationship with the new theme, we are going to work on an acrostic poem. So this one's not printed in the journal this month, but if you find a blank page or even the sticky note, or a blank section in the journal, turn to that. And we're gonna write opportunity, the single letters down the side of it. I've got a couple examples on the next slide, but this is an opportunity to start thinking of what comes to mind when you think of the word opportunity. But I also challenge you to not second guess yourself, just kind of write something down. You do have you can come up with at least 11 words or phrases that describe what opportunity means to you. And so you can either work it into a poem, or you can work it into just an inspirational phrase, or a quote or just kind of an inspirational word that kind of speaks to you. But you can obviously do sentences, the one word, the sets of words for each line, and really, you all are amazingly creative. So the fact that you can then weave it into a full-fledged poem, I find amazing. So this is what your page setup is going to look like on that blank page with you got opportunity down the side. And so here again are a couple different examples. A couple are from already from the Silk and Sonder app, which is always great for inspiration. Mine is the one on the right. I always chuckle when there aren't a lot of examples in the app because that means then I have to kind of flex my muscles because truth be told, I enjoy the acrostic poem, but it's really not one of my like favorite prompts. But I like the idea of how can I kind of dig a little bit deeper, especially when it is a theme that I really like. But to be honest, I miss those 4 or 5 word letter themes. So this one's a little bit challenging. But don't worry, you can certainly try it or you can come back to this. That's what I also think is great is with these type of prompts, you can just kind of take notes or work on it here or even kind of rewrite a bunch of different ones as you go. Maybe you want to do a different letter, every couple days. So I'm going to give you some time to work on this. Again, we're on a blank page working on our acrostic poem, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Appreciate all the amazing creativity when it comes to these. And again, it may not be everyone's personal favorite, and that's okay. I feel like that's a lot of like some of these prompts. There are definitely pages that I get really, really excited about and could almost do in duplicate. And then there are others that certainly become a bit of a challenge. And that's also okay too. I think it always comes back to what do you need? What do you want to try? What kind of challenge are you potentially looking for? Or what are other ways that you maybe kind of want to approach it? So thank you everybody for sharing. And so now we're going to kind of dive into the portion of it. So we're going to start on page 8 in your October journal with the September reflections. And I think what is also kind of unique with these particular self-care journeys is the opportunity to look back and review with I'm going to call it a cautionary lens. And the reason I say cautionary is because I do like to dwell on the negative. So I always have to set up some mental barriers and boundaries so that I don't dwell. But the ability to reflect on the wins from last month, the challenges that you faced last month, and even acknowledge again some of those favorite moments, but also then trying to build maybe some of those things that came out of those wins, challenges, and favorite moments. What can we then turn into actionable items that we can move forward with the what do I want to start, stop, or continue? So we're gonna start with the wins. So these can be something that made you smile, something that made you happy, something that was an accomplishment. For me, one of my September wins was I had a really good couple work meetings with clients as well as an industry meeting that was solely in my area of expertise. So I had some really good conversations and talks to do. So that was a big win for me, especially in September. And then the challenges were something that didn't go right, something out of your control, a stumbling block, or a frustration. For me, one of my challenges this month has been my apartment maintenance issues. I've had boiler issues, I've had bathroom issues, I've had lighting issues, all the things. So while that is a challenge that is really not something that I can fix, it is unfortunately a challenge that is impacting my day to day more than I would like it to. So for me, it's a frustration, and it's certainly something that's taking up way too much time, space, and energy in my mind. And then obviously the favorites, those could be kind of roses, those could be events, those could also be maybe just kind of the squishy, or as Bailey calls it, the crunchy things. Maybe it's more of an epiphany that you had, that aha moment, instead of an actual like event. And you can always use your phone or calendar to kind of review these, because we usually always make notes of the things that make us happy. Well, I'd say two of my favorite moments was my best friend from college. So we've known each other 20 years, came and spent a week here visiting, and we had so much fun. The weather was fantastic. So it was just great to hang out with her again. But then I was really sad when she left because it got really quiet. And then also staying connected with some really awesome people that I met on a tour I did in May, and then getting excited about the upcoming ones there. And then, as always, there are things that we want to start, stop, and continue. So maybe again, these are things that are not being done, but you want to do, things that you want to kind of carry forward, things that you don't, that aren't serving you anymore, or other things that you kind of want to pivot and use some momentum to. And then again, here are some examples. The one I like on the bottom with the I want to start, stop, and continue things, but they provide kind of a why and then a how. So that's where you can kind of turn that into those actionable items. And again, just because there are, 4 different lines in each section doesn't mean you need to take up every line. And it does not mean that you had a greater or lesser month than the previous ones. Maybe it's just kind of what you don't think of. And then, as always, you can include stickers. Maybe your start, stop, and continue looks a little bit more like a to-do list, or kind of those ideas. Like I said, for me, those tend to be kind of squishier, crunchier ideas. Mine's the one at the top, which is the, like I said, more of the reminders, the simple and small steps forward, procrastination, stop procrastinating and delaying things. And then really, I just need to continue with those honest expectations and realistic changes. So we would love to hear about your September wins. We would like to give some extra support for those challenges, certainly celebrate those favorite moments, but also interested on what you want to start, stop, and continue as we move forward with this page. So we'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Appreciate all of the honesty, because definitely sounds like some folks had some rough Septembers. So sending all the extra kind of thoughts and strength to kind of make it through that. Because again, sometimes it's even just a little bit of comfort that there are other people that may be having some rough months or rough time as well. But I do think that's what's kind of nice about being able to sit and reflect on it, is that you can kind of go hand in hand with maybe the things that didn't go so well or the things that we're trying are definitely challenging, but then still being able to acknowledge again some of those wins or maybe some of those small glimmers of positivity that happened there. And I feel like that's one of those things that if you are going to kind of explore the negative of the past, let's always try to find a way to kind of add another positive element as well. So we are now going to move over to page 9 with the October intentions. And so while we have some written categories there with spiritual health, personal life, physical health, key relationships, money management, and professional goals, you can go back to that idea of what do you need, because this is another one of those sections and pages that can get repurposed for what you want. And you can always start with the thought of opportunity to help set those intentions, with it being the theme. But you can also focus it around maybe some self love or self talk. You can obviously go for songs or lyrics or quotes for inspiration. You can also ask yourself kind of questions. How do you want to feel this month in each area? Someone mentioned at one of the other socials that they were kind of having a hard time figuring out what they want to do with each of those sections. So sometimes it's more of just asking yourself a question in those sections that can then lead to inspiration for the weekly setups as you go through the month. And then, as always, you can use those stickers or images in that type of thing. And so we know that, again, repurposing is always great. So you can definitely word any of these sections. So maybe spiritual health is more where you want to focus on a mental health or connection. For personal life, maybe you want to focus on your creative life, home life, or personal fun. Same thing with the key relationships. Maybe you want to work on a family relationship, a work relationship, marriage relationship, or even a specific relationship. Maybe instead of physical health, you want to focus on your mental health, heart health, or brain health. Same thing with professional goals. Maybe that is not your current chapter in life. So you can turn those into learning goals, creative goals, gardening goals, vacation goals, finding different opportunities to kind of repurpose these to really tailor them into what you want to focus on in October. Same thing with what you potentially want to focus on for the last quarter of the year, which I can't believe where this year has gone. And then Maya, who kind of sets up these slides a little bit as well, has included some of the month themes. If you want to kind of branch into some of those, maybe incorporate some of those ideas there, I think is always a good starting point as well. So here are some examples. I like the idea of, what are the things you're going to do in these categories and what are things you're going to let go. I love the duality exploration. Maybe you want more of something in this category and less of something in the category. And same thing with, you can only move so much. So maybe it's movement in these particular categories, but also then overlaying that rest, relax, or refresh component, because you can't always be doing everything all the time. So at some point, you maybe need to acknowledge what you want to rest on as well. And then we've got, again, great visuals. So maybe it is all about the stickers, all about the doodles. Maybe you are not quite ready to commit to those intentions yet. So you use those trusty Post-it notes so you can kind of explore and see what you want to do there. While we do encourage breaking up with perfection, I'm a big fan of marking it out and starting over. But it certainly gives you something to think on, and certainly do, because we know that the amount of time maybe here is something that you need a little bit more difference. Still the idea of starting and stopping something, kind of carrying that over from the reflections directly. I liked the idea of how you wanted to feel about those particular categories, and then how you're going to work on it, and what habits that you then include on the habit tracker that go directly to each of these particular intentions. And then you've got some quotes, you've got some inspiration there, you've got some song lyrics or songs that are doing it. Like I said, if you were having some kind of struggling with what you want to kind of explore with that intention. You can kind of ask yourself questions and then kind of fill in the blanks as you go throughout the month. And then I liked, again, the idea of incorporating some stickers and verbiage with that, some kind of actionable items there, or even the one on the right, which is the I want to do something in these categories, but then breaking it up into smaller sections so that you still have room to grow or pivot or make changes throughout the month. And then these two have been recent additions. So just because there are six categories does not mean you need to explore the six categories. Maybe it's only four, and maybe you want to completely reword them. And we love a good theme across the board. So I love the little, decorative frogs. And then the idea with the one on the right was a little bit less of kind of more of what I would consider kind of a manifestation or even a kind of prediction or a fortune aspect of it. I thought that was really creative, turning it into that type of what's the word I'm looking for? Turning it into a prophecy almost, as kind of what you want to do for future prediction. I thought that was a great idea, kind of taking a little bit more ownership there. So I'm gonna give you time to work on it. The next song I like to use, not because of the like tone of it, but the song is "You'll Be Back" because hopefully you will be back to continue to review your intentions throughout the month. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I loved seeing all of your amazing ideas with how you kind of approach the intentions. But it's definitely one of those that I feel like it is a little bit more of the kind of longer commitments that we make in the journals. So if you didn't get it completely done today, that's perfectly fine. I feel like this is one that I definitely like to take some notes on, but it definitely takes me a couple days to do it. And same thing, like it's usually not ready to go the first of the month. It's usually more like the first week of the month. But certainly, definitely challenge yourself to kind of set it up or try new and different things. And like I said, you'll be back to this page. And so hopefully we can find other ways to incorporate it because there definitely, that took me a while to really incorporate. How can I keep revisiting this page so that it's beneficial? Which I think is a great segue into the mood and habit trackers here because you can give yourself reminders as you go. So the first tracker we're going to look at is the mood tracker, which is page 10. And this is an opportunity to kind of look at what trends are there. You can kind of start seeing some of the shifting, or maybe things that when positive moods show up for us. Because again, our memory is a funny thing where you feel like all you had were kind of negative days, negative feelings. When you come back and actually see it a little bit more after real time of tracking it, it may not be as many as you think. But what I do really like about this is that you can absolutely use it as a mood tracker. To be honest, I definitely started out doing that. And I would pick the kind of negative feelings, a positive feeling, and kind of something in the between. But I realized I was reinforcing those negative feelings because I was dwelling on it as I reviewed it during the day. So I tried to make adjustments to that, and I went with a little bit more kind of even keel ones. So I did notice that I wasn't quite on that roller coaster that I was going to put myself on anyway, just from kind of talking and tracking it. And so that way you can do it. You can fill in every emotion that came up that day or whatever's the strongest. And you can kind of use it that way. But I also think what's really great about this is, again, kind of the scientific method approach to this is that we can track a bunch of different variables. So these are certainly ones that you can repurpose it. So here are a couple of examples, and I have a couple different ones. And so we've got this one's that's the setup here. But again, here are some of the mood ones. But what a couple people have tracked, the kind of panic attack level, either what triggered it or what started it, or maybe how intense it was. And then there was an overlay of what emotions you were feeling versus how much energy you had. I know one of our facilitators, Jennifer O, has used it as a book tracker, so maybe that's where your kind of head is at. Maybe you're on a fitness journey, so it becomes your yoga tracker or your physical care tracker. I liked the idea of these are the activities you're going to do during the day, so maybe it's an activity tracker kind of there. And then we move into some of those other repurposing, a food tracker. So someone was doing carbs and dairy, how they felt about it afterwards. I did see Bailey sneaking in the chat there. I definitely snagged a couple of her trackers in here. She started out using it as kind of an anxiety tracker, but then you can also do some of the mood trackers. What I liked about the one at the bottom in the center, that's specifically the intentions tracker. So they have used those 6 categories that we just visited on that page, and then they have gone through, and that's where they're tracking which of those intentions that they explore in whatever capacity that month. So you can absolutely use these sections to kind of help knit together the entire journal for you so that you feel like you're kind of getting a look at all the pages instead of just one. But then I liked also, again, the idea of what mood you were in and did that impact maybe a pain or a productivity and kind of bringing in those type of things. Definitely. Then the one on the left, when we talk about whether you want to do just one emotion or multiple emotions each day, like the idea, it's a little bit, I think, maybe inspired by Inside Out, or at least I associate it with Inside Out, because then you have the emotion balls. So that was the feelings, the feeling that they experienced the most was the biggest, but then they have the smaller ones that are there for when they also kind of popped up. Same thing with, did you do a midday check-in or a beginning check-in at the end? Those type of things I liked. Oh, Looks like Leanne. I'm so glad you pointed that out because I snagged one of yours as well. Leanne is in there. She's awesome. Hers is the one on the left, is her business habit tracker. So these are the things that she's doing as she's building her business. And then I liked the tracker on the right because they were tracking their stress levels. And then again, there are some quantifications there, but it's your own quantification. So when they were feeling stress at the different levels, so for 1 through 3, they then had different methods to de-escalate that stress. And based on those numbers, when you were feeling that, you would then incorporate those action ideas to do it. Oh, Kimberly L, excellent. That's her example there. And again, same thing. We've got some folks that are doing a spending tracker. Some people wanting to do it if the tough day versus great day. And then again, maybe it's a workout. And again, same thing with that self-care tracker, focusing on some of those intentions or some of those categories there. And then again, we've got some replenishment or even mood boosters. So if you feel like you're in a mood, you can definitely explore ways to change or update that mood and do that there. So let us know how you are tracking your moods and how you're using this, and we will see you soon. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I was loving the conversation in the chat just around, what do people track, where their kind of hiccups and hangups are sometimes with that tracker. And at the other monthly social I was at, Maya and I were chatting, and even we both admitted that we hadn't really done the mood tracker in a while. And so sometimes it's giving yourself the grace to do that, and, turning it into a nice little picture or something along those lines. But I think it always comes back to that kind of foundational of asking yourself, what do you need this month? So now we're going to move on to our last section, which is the habit tracker. Again, this is an opportunity to start new habits, habits that don't stop doing, habits that don't serve us, continue habits that bring us value. I am a creature of habit, so I usually have the same 3 habits there. And since it's usually the top 3, which is always move, read, and journal. So there's always that component there. So those are things that I want to do every single day, and then kind of incorporate a couple other different versions. And as always, you can kind of pick a theme, or maybe it'll relate directly to your intentions. And same thing with, you can use opportunity as that focus, or you can even kind of find things that maybe you've tried before with that start, stop, and can continue idea. Here are certainly some examples. Again, this is another one of those to make a really, really nice visual. I also like the idea of being able to break it down into the weekdays and the weekends, because as we know, sometimes our habits will look different during the weekday versus weekends, and being able to kind of tailor it to that, I think, is great and allows a little bit more flexibility. You all just do amazing things with just like the coloration there. I think that's really cool. So it looks really pretty, and I love the stunning visual. It's also really nice to then acknowledge maybe if you have a vacation or a holiday coming up, and maybe it's not necessarily something that you want to track during that. You want to be a little bit present. And then again, whether you choose to color it in, or some of the stickers, or even like a quantification, maybe it's the satisfaction that it brought you, or, how many individual things did you do that day? Again, you can come up with whatever kind of numbering system you want. And again, you don't always have to use all of the lines. You can certainly create a doodle or a picture in that capacity. And again, same thing there, I may look a little bit different. These I definitely know are Bailey's. I pulled those from hers. So again, she's focusing on these categories, and then putting a list of what those things that she can do to support each of those habits already listed on that page. So makes it a little bit easier to tackle those. My one is on the left. I had started an MBA, and I was struggling to just kind of revisit it on a regular basis. So I was doing a lot of kind of cramming that I didn't want to do. So I broke it down into a kind of study semester plan for that, that incorporated, checking the other email box that I now had, the coursework, the projects, working on all of those things. So I broke it down that way. So this became not a habit tracker, but a how am I going to get through this semester tracker. And I included the things that were scheduled, or the things I wanted to work on. And I actually committed to it, and I felt really, really good about it. So I really appreciated the setup. And so I don't have the workload that I had then, but it was amazing. So I feel like if you have like a certain thing that you need to work on, you can turn this into that type of tracker to support that, especially if it's like multiple pieces or multiple components. And then as always, I do love the iconography of these. So if you need to come up with maybe a fun or something unique for the fall. In fact, I already made soup from scratch today with my new immersion blender. It was amazing. I loved it. I'm gonna definitely incorporate more of these, especially as we move into that, because like I said, I'm a creature of habit, but being able to add something new to kind of liven up my fall, because I'm a summer fan. So I got to find something to make fall exciting. So let us know what habits you're working on, and Thank you, everybody, for sharing. I loved seeing the discussions again. You guys are amazing with it. Just comes to just the support, but also the uniqueness and how you kind of turned it into exactly what you want, what you need. And I think another thing that maybe I could mention the difference between the monthly and the weekly habits for me. As I mentioned, I'm a creature of habit, so I tend to have the same three or four each month. And then I carry those over into the weekly habit tracker. And that's where I add my lens of reality. And I use that for like, what is my workload looking like? So how much time do I have to move? Is it a set, workout time where I get to do kind of one of those like hour, 45 minutes kind of set structured workout? Or am I just so busy or not feeling well or the weather is not desirable? Maybe that turns into just the errands that I'm running or my commute to work becomes the movement. Same thing within quantifying how much am I going to read, what journal prompts am I going to work on. So that's kind of how I marry the two, weekly and monthly, together, that they can go hand in hand. And at the same time, I also feel like it's a great place to kind of include different habits to go back and kind of revisit other sections. You can always include those different prompts within the journal, kind of within that capacity as well. So it's one of those, help future you kind of stay on track. And sometimes it is just those little helpful reminders and starting to incorporate that into some of the habits. But again, thank you everybody for sharing. And as always, we would love to continue the conversation in the Silk and Sonder app. And so that's where we can kind of have those things. Obviously, if you have examples, we would love to see them there. And if you need kind of continued inspiration, that's a great place to start. And with that, can you believe that we have reached the end? And I know, especially if this is maybe the first time you've attended a monthly setup, these can get a little bit overwhelming. And part of it is to just give yourself some grace, take a big deep breath. It does take a while to kind of get into this flow, set up these pages for what it works. To be honest, the reflections and intention page were things that I didn't really fill out until I started attending socials, and just the structure and the perspective to kind of use it there. And at the same time, I also feel like I take breaks from the trackers because it can be a little bit overwhelming, but there is no right or wrong way to Sonder. No one is going to show up at your front door and demand to see the progress that you've made in your journal. But I do understand that it becomes kind of that hand in hand productivity and satisfaction. And I feel like there are months where it's like, that is what I have to do. And I'm very proud of the fact that I've done it. But sometimes it just takes it a little bit step by step, figuring out what works, figuring out what doesn't work. And believe it or not, I have also ripped out pages that I didn't want to do, and I didn't want to see the blank page taunting me. So Malika has put in the chat some of those links that we have here. And that's the refer friend. And same thing with, I want to highlight the feedback social. That is the feedback survey. That is where we have, why we have the socials that we have when we have them. So all of the things to put there. And then the YouTube link, also key. Those will get posted so that if, again, this just went a little too fast, or you want a couple more examples or even different facilitators' perspectives, all of our YouTube all of the socials are recorded, so they're there. I think we're up to something like 800 different videos. So if it doesn't work in your schedule or you want to see something different, you can always log into there. And we would love to kind of continue to do that. Yes, I feel like now more and more the stickers are taking over, but I definitely have some straight up ripped pages, and I feel oddly satisfied when I do it. So this is the copy of my playlist. I will include the link in the chat as well. But thank you everybody for joining us. I am so excited for the opportunities that October will bring. And I'm so excited to work on this month with each and every one of you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you at a future event. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your weekend. You guys are going to have an amazing week. And then we're going to kind of continue to go through this month as well as the Burr months and close out this year. So thank you everybody for joining, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
I've rehearsed 1,000 times. I played it all out in my mind. And now it's time to go. Time to give the world a show that I've been dreaming all my life. The day has come. I'm gonna give myself a chance. This time I'm getting off the fence. The wait is over, yeah, it's my life. This is my life. I can do this. Just stick around, you'll see. Going through this takes every part of me. When I'm feeling down inside, it's like a roller coaster ride. But it's true, yes, I can do this. Captain of my soul, only I can make me whole. If nothing ever changes, everything will stay the same. So I will change and I will grow. The day has come. I'm gonna give myself a chance. This time I'm getting off the fence. The wait is over, yeah, it's my life. This is my life. I can do this. Just stick around, you'll see. Going through this takes every part of me. When I'm feeling down inside, it's like a roller coaster ride. But it's true, yes, I can do this. Where there's a spark, there's a flame. Where there's a flame, there will be fire. And when this fire starts, I'm gonna let it burn and burn and burn and burn. I can do this. Just stick around, you'll see. Going through this takes every part of me. When I'm feeling down inside, it's like a roller coaster ride. But it's true, yes, I can